with you guys a story. Oh my God, Iman, what is your story? I'm so sorry.
I'm invisible, huh?
No, you're not. I was like this for some reason. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. No, I'm just gonna like beat Tom to his dream.
Alright, there's some competitive thing going on here. Alright, that's always good. That's always good.
And I guess it's gonna be 3 of us. Him, Donald Trump, and me. He's building the one just besides Shangri-La. He's building the tower right there.
Yeah.
So like, you have competition, Tom.
Okay. I don't mind that. I don't mind that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, material things, they're awesome, they're great, but it's not the most important thing in the world, right? So, there's this philosophy professor, and he's teaching to his class. And so he's at the front, you know, usually if you're in like a campus, all the students are all raised looking down at the teacher, right? So he has a huge desk, and in front of him he has a giant empty mayonnaise jar. And next to it he has a box of rocks, about maybe 2 inches in diameter, so they're pretty big. Next to it he has a box of pebbles. And next to that he has a box of sand. And so so what he does for his students, he takes the rocks and he pours it inside the jar. And it pretty much fills up, you know, they're kind of chunky, can't fill up all the space. And he asks the students, he's like, do you guys think this jar is full? And the students, they all agree, you know, they're like, yeah, it's full. He's like, okay. So he takes the pebbles, he puts it in the jar of rocks, and it usually fills in the space that the rocks didn't fill up. And so he asks the class again, does this jar look full? And the students are like, looks full to me, they all agree. He's like, okay, so he takes the box of sand, and he pours it into a jar. Now this time it fills up most of the empty holes that the pebbles and the rocks couldn't fill in. And he asks the class, does this jar look full? And every single body, you know, everybody in the class is like, it looks full. And he says to him, he's like, imagine that this jar is your life. He's like, and the rocks in here signify, now remember, the rocks signify and they stand for the important things in your life, like your family, your wife or your husband, your kids, your nieces, your nephews. He's like, things that if you lost everything, they would still remain. The pebbles represent your job, your hobbies, your car, your job, pretty much. They're like, okay, that's what it represents. The sand represents the small things in life. Things that don't really matter, but comes with life, so you take it. So he says, if I were to fill up this jar with the sand first, the rocks and the pebbles wouldn't fit. He's like, just in your life, if you were to just focus on the pebbles and the sand, it wouldn't mean anything, you know what I mean? Because the most important things, you have to focus on the important things of your life, right? The rocks, right? The rocks, if you lost everything, those are the only substantial things that are going to stay there and with you, right? And so he says to them, you know, if you focus all your time on the small things, which is the sand that filled up the entire jar, he's like, if you were to put all your time and your energy on the small things like that, you wouldn't have enough space for the rocks and the pebbles in your life. You wouldn't have enough time for your family, which is the rocks, and the pebbles, which are your work and your job. You wouldn't have enough time for that because you're focusing all your energy on the sand. The little things in your life that don't really have no significance. If you lost it, then you would feel devastated. You know what I mean? He's like, so in your life, he's like, you need to focus your energy and your attention on the things that matter, the things that are crucial for your happiness. So he says to the rest of the class, he says, so focus your energy. He's like, focus your energy and your time on your rocks of your life, because that's what's going to make you float when the wind and everything goes bad in your life. He's like, and the rest is just sand, because it's not important. You know, how fine is that? It'll blow away the moment wind hits, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't think I even said that right, but I think you guys get the concept of what he was trying to say, you know? I mean, philosophy is just like, woo, a whole nother level. So when I heard that, I was like, oh, this guy's good. And so, you know, that's just like how life is, you know? And I remember, I mean, back to like, you know, me being shy or whatever, you know, I remember reading this book about, have you guys ever heard of Dale Carnegie? Okay, Dale, yeah, okay. If you haven't heard of him, I suggest that you guys pick up a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yeah, and it's a really good book. And in that book, he states that 85% of your success is due to relationships. 15% is due to your skills. So when I read, you know when you're in like, you know how when you're in, you meet up a friend for coffee or something like that, right? And like, you know, you guys are talking, you know, maybe you only have 2 hours at the most because you're so busy with your life and things like that, right? So you guys start talking, you guys start reminiscing, and you're just like, oh my God, this is, you know, you kind of like, you know those people you just don't want to leave because they're so much fun, right? And you're just like, and you know, the next thing you know, you're like, oh my goodness, it's been like 5 hours. Oh, I have to go. Like, I literally gotta go, you know? And like, the time just flies so fast, and like, and it's amazing, like, the opposite of that is like trying to like meet up with like that acquaintance that you barely know, and you know, you have to sit, and like maybe your mom was like, just go make friends with her or him, you know? And then in the back of your head, you're like, oh, this guy and girl is so boring. Like, I can't even stand being with them in like a room, you know? So, you know, it's funny how people skills is so important and crucial in their life, because if Dale Carnegie, which is like the second most like sold book in the world wide, says that 85% of your like success is due to people skills and 50% is due to your success, then why don't you focus on the one subject that's actually going to make a difference in your life? Because that 85% is going to like determine how much money you make, how much your self-confidence is, your character. You know, that's what matters. Everything else will just come with what you do eventually. You know, so like me, like I was really shy, Lydia. You know, and like, you know, I'm really shy. I was really shy and all that stuff, you know. But it's like, I had no idea that one day I was gonna come here and have like a whole speech to you guys. You know, I would have never imagined that, but it all had to do with that girl coming into my life, impacting me, to having like a ripple effect. For me being like, okay, now I really want to know more about people skills. That's what really drove me to like learn eventually about people skills, because I was like, I want to impact people that really feel that they can't do anything on their own, you know, people that are really shy, or people that are really just like, they feel like they're not worth anything, you know, just kind of like Larry, you want to impact those people that need to lose weight for their life, literally, right? So that for me, that's like my goal. You know, I want to impact people's lives in people skills, because that's so crucial, and like it's so important for like your family, your friends. It goes on forever, you know. And then like I think it's just really important, you know. You know, it's funny how they say that public speaking is the #1 thing that people are scared of, like versus heights, you know, the unknown. Public, Google it, okay? Do me a favor and Google it, because you will find that that is the scariest thing that people are afraid of. Wait, scariest thing that people are afraid of. And you know, so this is my mentality. And I can't say this, and I can't speak for everybody, okay? But to me, the way I see things is, if public speaking is the most scariest thing that people are afraid of, why don't you do that first, then everything else will be easy?
Just,
you know? So, you know, the good example would be like, okay, it's actually really funny. Oprah Winfrey got demoted from being an anchor. Does everybody know what an anchor is? You know what that is? They're the television person. They you know, do the news for you. You watch them on TV. She got demoted from being an anchor because they said she wasn't fit for TV. We all know how that ended, okay? You know?
she now owns it.
Exactly, that's true. That's a fact. you know? Steve Jobs got fired from like the empire that he built, you know, and eventually he got back on track by, you know, advising them eventually because they pulled him back in, and eventually he became the CEO, right? You know, it's amazing that, like, when you have a little dream, there's nothing that can really stop you from doing what you want except yourself, because you are your biggest critic, and you're the only one that's stepping in your way from success. And you know what Mother Teresa says? She says, you know what? If you're successful, people are going to hate you. But be successful anyway. That's all.